Okay, I think I'm live in all of the fun places today. And we get to talk about one of my absolute favorite topics to talk about today, and that is our digestive system and our gut health, which also means we get to talk about poop. And I know you're like, Katie, I did not join the today to talk about poop, but that's what we're going to talk about because it is a big indicator of your health and it is something that a lot of people struggle with. Millions of Americans struggle with it. And it is one of the most common concerns that I have when people come to me and need help with their holistic wellness lifestyle. They have either digestive issues going on and they want to dive in. And so today, that's the conversation we are going to have. We are going to talk about how to restore your health from the inside out. But today's focus is going to be on our digestion and our gut health, specifically something called our microbiome. So, welcome everyone. We're going to go through a couple of little what I call the housekeeping notes before I really dive into this. I'm streaming on multiple locations today because I want to make sure that everybody gets this information. I've been doing a Tuesday wellness series in the month of October of 2023, every single Tuesday at noon Central Standard Time. I'm coming to you live with a fun lunch and learn. So as everybody gets on, let's just chat a little bit about how this is going to work. I am going to be talking today, like I said, about digestion and your gut health. And so, no matter where you're joining me, whether you are live in the Zoom room, you're on YouTube, you're on one of my Facebook channels, I want to welcome you here and I want to get all of your questions answered. And I want this to be interactive and fun for all of you. So, at wherever you're at, I want you to comment, to ask questions, to send me private messages, whatever that looks like to you, whatever you are comfortable with. We're talking about a topic that a lot of people don't like to talk about, which is our poop and our digestive system. So if you need to private message me, I totally understand, but I want to talk about it because I think when we don't talk about these topics, when we don't talk about the things that are really going on just below the surface, that's when we get ourselves into trouble. And that's when we continue to seek and to seek and to seek solutions to the issues that we have going on. So no matter where you're joining from, make sure you're putting it into the comments. Even if I don't get to your questions when I am on live today, I will make sure to get them to the recording, whether you're watching this as a recording or live. So that all being said, let's dive in. Okay. So we are going to talk about restoring your health from the inside out, digestion, and your gut. So this month we have focused in on our metabolism and our metabolic processes. We've focused in on sleep, and today it's our gut. And if you want access to any of those, again, just message me and I'll get you the links to some of my previous little workshops that we've been doing. And I'll get you the links to a lot of resources and a lot of goodies so that you can go through some of this information on your own. My main philosophy in everything I do is that when we know better, we can do better. And so let's spread the knowledge. Let's get this information out there, share it with a friend, whatever that looks like to you. So let's dive in. Who's ready to go? Okay, so this is the wellness pyramid. And some of you may have seen this millions of times before, but there are other people that maybe you haven't seen it or you need a little bit of a reminder. This is the wellness pyramid. These are the foundations of what I believe in, what doTERRA believes in, what is the foundation of just everything in wellness, whether you're part of doTERRA or you believe what I believe in. These are just core principles, is that our nutrition and our digestion is on the foundation of our health. So what a lot of people don't understand is that when our nutrition and digestion is off, it's going to lead to a ripple effect or a cascade effect to multiple other areas in our health. It could be leading to our hormone imbalance, our sleep patterns, our not being able to move or metabolize food right. It could lead to the reason that we have chronic pain in our body or head tension, or we've got that thing going on, that really thing that everybody has, that thing, right? And it could be from this foundation of nutrition. So our nutrition and how our food is being digested is always at the very, very bottom, or the bottom of the wellness pyramid. Okay. And so The next thing that we're going to look at is our movement and our metabolism. That is that lifestyle of like moving our body, getting in our steps every day, resting and managing our stress, reducing our toxicity, informed self care, and proactive. So, when we're looking at different things, we have a gamut of different ways that we can do things. And what we're going to do again tonight, today, we're going to look at that nutrition and digestion piece of the puzzle. Okay. So, as I'm showing you this fun picture of somebody out in the woods and they're walking and everything, I want to share with you a couple of goals that I have for today. My goal is I want you to understand the role that your digestion plays in your overall health, specifically something introducing you to this concept called the microbiome and how that is going to play a role in your overall health, especially not just your digestion, but also your immune support and how your body has the ability to protect itself when all that stuff comes its way. That, we're going out into that season, right? When everything comes to start your way, your body has a way to fight it off, right? To repel it, to create a shield around yourself. It also affects our cellular processes, our sleep, and all of that. So I want you to understand this role. Now, full disclosure, I'm not going to super deep dive into that because I don't want to, be on here for an hour with you, because I know you have other things to do than to watch me talk about your digestive system. But I want to get this information out to you, and I'm going to give you some really fun links to really understand this. But then I want to give you some solutions. I really want to make sure that you're like, hey, you're connecting the dots to maybe something that you have going on in your health. You're connecting the dots to this piece of this is what I've got going on, right? And so you're connecting the dots, and then I'm giving you some tangible ways that you can move forward. And some of those include doTERRA, and some of them don't include doTERRA. So the reality is, I want to know right now, how many of you are experiencing digestive issues? And when I say digestive issues, when I list these things off, I want you to ask yourself, am I experiencing those currently? Or maybe you know of somebody, and you can pop that into the comments, or you can private message me if you want. But how many of you, when I talked about digestion and food, can say that, hey, maybe you've got some troubles with your bowel movements? And rule of thumb is that you should be eliminating 1 to 2 times per day regularly. It should not be strenuous, but it also should not be completely liquid. So how many of you are in that camp where you're like, hey, yes, I'm eliminating properly 1 to 2 a day. It's, normal. They always say like the size of a banana. Or is this an area that you struggle in? Right? And you think it's quote unquote normal that you don't go to the bathroom for several days. Okay. So how many of you are in that camp? How many of you are struggling with, or maybe you're like, oh, I can't eat that food, it gives me really bad indigestion. This is a big common one I see. And our answer is, let's just eliminate. Let's eliminate dairy. Let's eliminate wheat. Let's eliminate entire food groups, because that's how I'm going to lose weight. That's how I'm going to feel my best. And so we eliminate. And yeah, we feel better, but we're also not, we're also still like, we're eliminating full food groups, right? And if we do introduce something like we have a birthday and we want to have a piece of cake, we feel awful if we've eaten that. Now, there are some people, if you have full on celiac disease or you have something else, that yes, you do need to eliminate some food groups, right? But for the most part, the majority of us should not be having as much stomach discomfort from foods if we're eating a whole food diet as we are. But we eliminate, and most of that is because our digestive system just doesn't have the right components and it doesn't have the right support that we need, right? So how many of you have bloating? You have gas. You have like you're just irritable all the time with that. How many of you have things with your mood going on, right? Maybe you have some mood and mental issue, like mental, maybe you have some mood, like, some mood problems. I don't know how to, like, I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying this, but your moods are kind of all over the place. You've got a roller coaster of emotions, especially as we're going into winter, getting the winter blues, things like that. What about your skin? How does your skin look? A lot of people are like, hey, what skincare are you using? Well, I'm using some pretty darn fun skincare, but at the same time, I'm also focused in on my overall digestive health and the inside out. So these are all different ways, or maybe like you said, you're not sleeping, things like that. These are all things that can be tied back to our digestion. Okay. So let's talk about the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about our microbiome, because when we talk about digestion, we have to understand that it is not just our digestive system, right? It's something called our microbiome. And this is kind of a big word that's been floating around in the natural wellness fields and the holistic wellness fields for quite some time, but we're really just starting to hear about it. It's just kind of starting to come mainstream. So your microbiome is, your body is made up of millions of different organisms. So there's part of your cells, but what they say is that over half of the cells in the human body are coming from their outside environments, right? And so a microbiome is the community of microorganisms that can be found living together in a habitat. So your body has a microbiome. So it's not just in your gastrointestinal tract, it is in your gut, but it's also in your oral, in your mouth, it's also in your respiratory, it's in your dermal layers, your skin layers, and it also can be found in the female reproductive tract. And when that microbiome gets off, it's going to affect your your um your digestion, but it also could affect bad breath, things like that, your oral, your respiratory. So if you're getting chronic respiratory problems coming up, your dermal, your skin, again, like you could be having skin issues, like maybe you've got some eczema and things like that, or you're getting some different things on your skin. So how many of you are saying, yes, 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 this explains me, but maybe you haven't linked it back to your digestive system, female reproductive tracts, ongoing urinary tract infections, bladder infections, yeast infections, those kinds of things. That's all part of your microbiome. And if your microbiome is off, everything's going to be off, right? So when this microbiome, this digestive system is off, everything's going to be off. So that's why you might not be able to eat certain foods because and they're really irritating. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, McDonald's should be irritating. Like, I'm not, when I say like eating foods that don't agree with you, I'm not talking about the foods that are fake and not real. Like, I'm talking about eating real food. Okay. So let's get that super clear when I'm talking about eating things. Like McDonald's should make you feel like shit. It's not food, okay? I'm probably gonna get flagged on one of my channels today because I said something that wasn't right. Anyway, so that's what your microbiome. So your microbiome is, it's just this big, huge part of your body. And so it's not just about looking at your digestive system. It's going to start, it's a big piece of that, but it's making sure that everything is part of your microbiome that feeds into your digestion. So let's look at some of the different key ways that your microbiome can be affected. So part of it is going to come from your nutrition and your digestion. And so consuming, right? So how you eat, so consuming too much fast food and other unhealthy foods can harm your gut microbiome. So when you're introducing foods that aren't real, or maybe they're just fast food, they're fried, like, is there anything wrong with, going out for a birthday celebration and having this maybe once or twice a month? Absolutely not. But the standard American diet, this picture is how a lot of people are eating every single day. And these foods, they're not nutrient rich. They're very processed. They're fried. They're not delivering your body a lot of nutrients. Okay. And so that can in turn harm your gut microbiome. So what you want to do is you want to focus in on foods like eating that rainbow. So eating that rainbow and trying not to eat, again, this is where it comes in like, hey, how can I eat? Like maybe you're not eating the exact same vegetable every single day. You're eating foods of the season. So right now we're in the season of fall. So you're getting apples from the local apple orchard. Your microbiome is very affected by your outside environment. So not just what you're putting in your body, but what you're exposing yourself to. So um being outside, being in nature, eating foods of the season, like washing them off, but not eating them where they're completely sanitized. That's going to help. They say, there's like that funny saying is just rub a little dirt on it. There is credit in that because it's feeding your immune system the outside. And I want you to think about what we have done over the last several years where we've basically stripped everything off of our bodies because we wanted to be sanitary and sterile. And we didn't interact with other humans, so we weren't able to share our microbiome. We weren't able to share the different parts of us. We weren't able to share and give ourselves each other different germs and different bacterias and things like that in a close environment, right? So we basically stripped our microbiome. We did a lot of damage to it. Isolation does a lot of damage to the microbiome. And so looking at how can you consume some foods that are always part of, like just different foods, and you eat a variety of foods and you get those fruits and vegetables and things like that in, it's going to really help your microbiome. So that's an easy way you can do it. Movement. So recent studies suggested that exercise can enhance the number of beneficial microbiome species and improve the development of commensal bacteria. Okay. And so exercise is able to enrich the microflora diversity to improve the ratio, which could potentially contribute to reducing rate. So physical activity helps flush out the bacteria that maybe we don't need as much of out of the lungs and out of the airways. So that exercise, right? And when we exercise in nature, it's even more so because we're exercising in environments where we're again bringing in all the diversity of the trees and the plants and everything around us into our lungs. So we're expelling out, but we're bringing back in with that movement. And we all know that moderate exercise has a great big impact in our digestion. If you joined me in my metabolic class a couple weeks ago, we talked about these blood sugar spikes and keeping our blood sugar as regulated as possible. And movement after a meal is one of the best ways to do that because then that food isn't just sitting in our digestive system. So going for a 20 to 30-minute walk after your largest meal of the day can be very, very, very beneficial to your body, not just for your microbiome, but also for just in general, how your body, your metabolic processes are going to be working in your body. Okay, so let's look at metabolism. How your gut bacteria, and I recently read an article on this, how your gut bacteria, when your gut bacteria is all in balance, your metabolism is working. And so then you can release weight. So how many of you are like, hey, I just can't get the scale to move, but you've also got digestive issues going on? It's probably a really big direct correlation. We're looking at our metabolism and it can impact our overall metabolic regulators, right? So we are looking at it. Do you see how this is just totally fascinating? Because if we're looking at gut health, we used to just focus on, hey, let's look at gut health. So many times when we're looking at our wellness journey or we're looking at trying to create a solution, find a solution to what is our concern, we're looking at just the digestive system, or we're looking at, hey, I've got head tension. So I'm looking at what's going on with my head to figure out that head tension. What's going on with my lungs? But we have to look at the whole picture because everything moves and dances together. And when we look at the whole picture of our health, then we can usually figure out what's going on, right? So when we have this healthy microbiome, it's going to allow our body to release weight at the same time because our metabolism is a little better. Again, sleep. This is a big one. I did an entire class last week on just sleep. This is a big one. Sleep plays such an important role in our health, right? So studies suggest that lack of sleep is linked to the reduction in healthy microbiome in your gut. An unhealthy gut microbiome may also have negative effects on sleep. So when your digestive system isn't working, you're not going to get as well of sleep. So how many of you are like, hey, my sleep is being disrupted. Maybe it's going on with your digestion. There's a link there. It's not completely isolated. And stress. Stress is a big one. Okay. Psychological stress and depression can promote consumption of highly palatable foods, influencing which gut bacteria thrive. Stress and depression can reshape the gut bacteria's composition, and stress can lead to changes in both the number of abundance and types of bacteria that are living in your body. And high cortisol levels can cause inflammation of your digestive system. And so all of this is playing a role, our stress, our sleep, to create the environment in our gut that we need to poop, to not have bloating, to not have constipation, to not have the diarrhea, to not have all of these things, the food sensitivities. It's all playing a role. And don't worry if you're like, oh my gosh, this is too much, Katie. I can't make all these changes at once. Don't worry, that's what I'm here for. I want to teach you. That's my biggest thing. I love to teach women how to create simple plans that work with their lifestyle so that we can figure out what's going on with you together. Let's find one area, focus on one area, and understand that no matter what we're doing in our wellness, this is a journey. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to throw this stuff at you and hope that it works and we're going to throw darts to the wall. No, we're going to figure out what's going on and we're going to work step by step together, because your wellness plan should not add stress to your life. Your wellness plan should be something that lights you up and makes you feel empowered and makes you feel good. Okay. So let's look at our reducing our toxicity. So, reducing toxicity is also part of the microbiome. So remember how I just said within the last couple years, we've increased the use of hand sanitizers, things like that. Everything has to be sterile. Well, what in our drive to reduce this toxicity, it's actually really harmed our microbiome. And so we look at these different things that are creating toxicity in our body that might be doing this. The pharmaceuticals we're using, plant derived medical supplies, industrial chemicals, household and personal care items. We're like inundated with toxic overload, and some we can control and some we can't control. And so what are I'm going to give our household and our personal, like our cleaning supplies, our toothpaste. That's why I'm like, did you know, I'm just going to do this little plug. It was in the presentation. I was like, I'm going to take that out. I don't need that. And then I thought, you know what? This is a perfect way to say, hey, most mouthwashes, most toothpaste are putting in that antimicrobial, get it? Antimicrobial, against the microbiome, antimicrobial, and it's kind of shifting us away. And so we're even trying to sterilize our mouths. Well, what if, that's what I love about oils and different things, is that we can clean our bodies with what nature has given us. We don't need these tools. Now, I'm not saying that we need to walk around with dirty hands. I got kids and yeah, gross. But soap and water is usually fine, right? Or some On Guard spray that doesn't have the harsh chemicals that are killing off the microbiome. It's a natural way to kill those off. So all of these are playing a role in your digestion, and you just thought it was your digestion and said, oh, I'm just going to take another Tums, or I'm just going to eliminate this entire food group. That's not how it works. Okay. So doTERRA just released, and I'm gonna shift to the kind of the how-to. So hopefully you understand that a little bit more on the microbiome. There is an entire training course on doTERRA. So if you're watching this, if you signed up for this class through my website, magicwithkatie.com/events, if you signed up on my website, you will get the links in one different thing. If you did not, you need to message me and I will send you the links. But there is an entire course that doctors and scientists are teaching way better than I could if you want to understand your microbiome even more in depth. I'm also going to be sending over an ebook, a personal assessment, and some other really, really amazing goodies. So you're going to want to get your hands on that so that you can continue learning about these and continue this conversation. Okay. So now let's go to the how to. I love how doTERRA is always like, hey, we've got this issue in people's health. It's not just let's create a digestive product, but we know that if we really think about it, the microbiome is really affecting people. So how can we help people with their microbiome? So there's things that you're going to have to do on your own, right? Increase your movement, really look at your sleep, look at some of your food choices, things like that. That's things that you have to do on your own. But what tools do we have to support this? Right? What tools do we have? So you might have heard like, hey, you need to take a really good probiotic. Well, here's the problem. There's not that many really good probiotics on the market. There was maybe one or two besides doTERRA until they came out with this. So what this is it's going to be 26 strains, 22 species of micro or probiotics. Okay. So it's going to benefits beyond the gut. And so how this is meant to be taken, and so, here's the thing, there's lots of information out there on how to take this. I am having the best results personally taking this in the evening before I go to bed. So I take one of these and one Serenity soft gel before I go to bed so that it can release and go in my digestive system when my digestion is already slowed down because of sleep and my processes going small. So it just kind of hangs out in my digestive system and I get the most benefit from it. Okay. And so 26 strains, 22 species, and that is the PB Restore. So if you have been part of doTERRA for a while, this is eventually phasing out the PB Assist that has been our probiotic for several years. So I love this one. You do not like this one. They do recommend you refrigerate it after you've opened the bottle. And that's just because it'll help with that life. If it's not refrigerated, it's not going to be the end of the world. But what they have shown is that it keeps a little bit more shelf life if you keep it in the refrigerator. Okay. The second thing they have is this used to be, we had a PB Assistant and Junior is what they called it. And, but what they found is this was like a favorite of so many people. So this is just a little powdered one. You can give this to your children, especially if your children have been on antibiotics because they've needed some medical intervention for some kind of stuff they had going on. I would definitely make sure that you also are giving them one of these when that dose is done so that they can restore their microbiome and their immune system gets back up to wherever, to functioning at optimal levels. Okay. These are completely different. This is the biggest thing I want you to know. This one and this one are not the same. These are completely different 14 strands. So this one had, let's go back. This one had 26 strands. This one has 14 strands. This is completely different strains, completely different strains than the other one. So together, it's a lot of strains. One of the things that I love is I showed this to a friend of mine that also happens to be a midwife and is very big in women's health. And what she really loved about these probiome gut complexes, they're not called probiotics anymore because they're really geared toward the whole entire probiome, is that these are really, really amazing for women's health. So when I said, hey, you're getting, chronic yeast infections, urinary tract infections, bladder infections, those kinds of things, both of these together are going to help. So it's all good. Okay. Now, how are we going to take these? That's always my biggest question. Katie, how do I take them? So here's kind of a sample, and in everything I'm sending you, I have a whole little PDF download that shows all of this, but I just pulled some of it out to share it with you today. So balance on the bottoms of your feet. What's that going to do? That's going to help reduce stress, because remember, stress is a big piece of our microbiome. So whether it's balance, whether it's adaptive, whatever it is for you, whatever your favorite oil is, put that oil on the bottoms of your feet and make it part of your routine. I tell women that I work with, put that oil where you will use it. So if you are gonna, I put it in my shower area, so in my bathroom area. So when I'm getting ready, when I'm brushing my teeth, I can just put that balance on the bottoms of my feet, and it's ready to go. Okay. You can add 2 drops of frankincense to your face moisturizer. That's going to help with your glowing skin, things like that. Tangerine oil in your metal or glass water bottle. So tangerine is just that gentle detox. Your MetaPower Advantage, that's going to help with your metabolic processes and everything else. Your lifelong vitality. And this one says one doTERRA PP Restore capsule before breakfast. I'm going to add that to the evening. You can decide, play with it, figure out what works for you. Um, Deep blue if you need deep blue. So afternoon, your second dose of Lifelong Vitality, your PV Assist stick anytime in the day. So a lot of times I take mine in the afternoon when I'm having a little bit of a sweet tooth. I will take the stick. And then your Meta Power. This is how it works in. So a lot of you are on Meta Power, you're on Lifelong Vitality. And if you're not, you're going to message me. I'm going to give you a very, very simple way to take steps forward. In the evening, you're going to do 2 Meta Power Assist if dinner is the largest meal of your day. 1 to 2 Terrazyme. That's going to help with other digestive support, and lavender oil diffused before bed. Or you can do the entire sleep serenity system that I talked about last week. So this is just kind of an idea. I know a lot of people really like, hey, how do I incorporate it? I got these products. I know they're good for me. How do I incorporate it? A couple of other things. If digestion, we don't just have these probiome products, we also have a lot of other digestive support products. So if you really have some chronic digestive issues going on, we're going to work together, right? You're going to reach out, you're going to work together, but we can also look at some of these other things that we have. We have Digestin, which is a blend that you can take. We have the Digestin chewable tabs, which are chewable. I love those. How I use those is I love to use them. If we do go out for that meal at the local pub and it is that processed and fried food that my body's just not used to, doesn't mean it can't process it. It's just not used to it. I'll take the Digestin tabs then. Again, peppermint, Terrazyme, Digestin. These are all really beautiful products that we might customize for you. But honestly, if I were getting started and I had some digestive issues, I would probably focus in on the Lifelong Vitality, and the probiome, the new probiome products. Okay. Also, there's also oils that you can use. I'm going to tell you right now, Tamer is one of my favorite oils. It comes in a touch. And if I'm having any kind of digestive stuff, or even about a year ago, I was having some digestive stuff coming up and I was like, hey, I really need to dive into what's going on with this. And as I was shifting, I will say that the Meta Power system and really learning how to regulate blood control has been really key for this. But I also would just automatically, after I would eat, put Tamer on. And I usually don't have to really do that anymore unless it's one of those heavier meals. But these are also really great things that you can do to just improve digestive flow. Your kids, I love this for kids. And lots of just different ways that you can use either and honestly, it's preference. So a lot of people will ask me, what's the difference between these 2 roller bottles? It's going to definitely be preference, okay? Whether you prefer the Digestin or the Tamer, okay? Remember, if you have any questions, make sure you're putting them in the comments. Additional things, right? Additional lifestyle habits to consider. Again, I've kind of talked about a little of these, but eat a breakfast with whole fresh foods. Skip the sugary things for breakfast, right? I love myself a great big, lemon poppy seed muffin that I've made with my sourdough. But I'm also going to pair it with some eggs, some protein, some fruits, maybe some yogurt, not the kind that claims that they're increasing your gut health, but the kind that really actually works, which is going to be the plain Greek yogurt that you can add some different things in. Take some time in the morning to engage in some movement, to take some personal reflection, set your intentions for the day. It's going to help with that stress reduction, right? In the afternoon, eat a balanced light lunch, take a 10-minute walk, drink 2 to 3 liters of water throughout the day, write in a gratitude journal. These are all really simple things. I think sometimes we get it in our head that we need to, if we're working out, it needs to be this long drawn out process. No, it could be a simple 20 to 30-minute walk in the morning and 10-minute walk in the afternoon, or 10 minutes after your largest meal. In the evenings, eat a nutritious dinner, stretch thoroughly, take a relaxing bath or shower, take a break from electronics before bed by reading a book, and get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So these are just some little tips. Like, pick one of these, right? Again, we're going to keep this simple. Pick one. Maybe it's that this week you're going to focus on eating a better breakfast. And then Next week, you're going to eat a better breakfast and you're going to do that movement. Make it simple. That's one of the biggest things I see with so many of us is that we try to make so many changes all at once that we end up overwhelmed and we can't stick with our changes. So find one thing and master it. Like if you're not drinking water, focus in on the water. Focus in on a gratitude journal. Focus in on what works for your life that maybe gets you a little bit out of your comfort zone, but you're creating these new habits. Okay. So I am going to, just a second. I stopped my screen share, I believe. Okay, there we go. I stopped my screen share so nobody can see my screen anymore. So, just a couple of things to wrap it up. I've loved everyone joining me today, whether you're joining me live or you're going to watch this as a recording later on. So much good stuff, and so much. If you really think about it, and if you've been joining me for the last couple of weeks, there's a couple of things I want to just. I feel like this is the message that comes through is that your health is a journey, right? It's a journey, and there's going to be different things that you add on. And I want you to keep it simple. And I really want you to reach out and either work with myself or work with the person that invited you to this so that we can help you create the plan that works best for you, for your budget, for your lifestyle, for what your wellness goals are. But keep it simple because, and everything is tied. So, my third point is everything is tied together in our health. So your digestion is affecting your sleep, is affecting your headaches, is affecting your, maybe you've got some skin issues going on, whatever it is, everything is connected. And it all really starts with simple changes, making the, movement, sleep, rest, nutrition, that wellness pyramid. So thank you everyone for joining me. If you would like a link to get started or a customized link, or you want to reach out and chat with me, you can send me a message, Katie at magicwithkatie.com, or wherever you're streaming from, to send me a message and I will get you connected to everything, because I just love teaching people about this, because I want you to have your digestion, because I've had digestive issues. It's been one of the biggest concerns that I've had and one of the biggest solutions that I've had to really dive into. And so this is one of the things that really lights me up with helping people, because I know what it feels like to have the bloating, to have the cramping, to have the itchy spleen, to have, the diarrhea, the nonstop diarrhea. Like, I know what that feels like, and it doesn't feel fun, and it's not a fun way to live life. And I also know what it feels like when you get it figured out, and the freedom that comes with being able to eat some ice cream every once in a while. Or, well, actually, I still don't eat ice cream. Like dairy is just a hard no for my body, like some dairies, but understanding what works for your body. And I want to help you with that. So can't wait to see you in my inbox, and I'll talk to you soon. Everyone have a great day. And thank you so much for joining.